What is going on, my freaking mates? Hope everyone is having a really good Sunday, just spending time with friends, family, mates, or just working a job that you enjoy. No matter what you're doing, hope your Sunday's well. Before we get right into things, I want to address one thing very quickly, and that's this. I don't work for the United States Postal Service. Kind of wish I did because I'd be sick, but this is just a really sick thrift find that I found up in Mammoth, California, which is like kind of ski resort type of place. It's pretty sweet, isn't it? Thrift store. But anyway, that's besides the point. So just to eliminate any confusion, I do not work for the Postal Service, but that would be pretty dang cool. So this is my very first story that I'm going to tell on this YouTube channel. I'm not really a Storytime YouTuber. In fact, I think the only Storytime YouTuber that I would know by name is like Tana Mongoose or whatever. And she does some pretty questionable content. So I'm not really taking any influence from any Storytime YouTuber because, like I said, I don't really watch or know any. But if I was a Storytime YouTuber, I guess this is how I would do it. The story in question that we're going to be talking about today is what I would say is my very first panic attack that I've ever had. And based on how it felt, I would say that it's really the only panic attack, legitimate panic attack that I've ever had in my entire life. But it was really interesting, so I do want to talk about that. And just to give a little bit more background and context, I do have a history of having some mental health issues. Depression does run in my family that I'm in. I would say our family, but we're not related. But basically there's just all this chemical stuff that goes on in my brain that doesn't fire right. So I take medication for depression, and that's what I've dealt with for most of my life. It's not that serious. So anxiety is, it kind of comes with depression a little bit. Sometimes I felt a little bit anxious, but I've never really had a full-blown panic attack like I did in this Taco Bell. So with any good story, you kind of set the scene and kind of just explain the situation that surrounded what happened. So let's get right into that. I was 21 years old. I just recently turned 21. I'm 22 now, so this was just about a year ago. And at this point in time in my life, I was doing a lot of things wrong. I was just being really stupid, doing a lot of stupid stuff with my friends, hanging around the wrong people, just absolutely just people that were not right for me. I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking crap on the people that I used to hang out with, because that's not the case at all. They just weren't the right people for me. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking crap at all. They just were not the right people for me to be hanging around with. But anyway, I was just doing a bunch of stupid drugs and smoking a ton of cigarettes and just being really stupid with my time, and just overall just not being a very good person. And that kind of sets the scene to where we are now. And my friend actually lived in this apartment that was pretty crappy. It was off this main street that I live in Bakersfield, California. The area itself wasn't super bad, but the part on the street that he lived down was pretty bad. It was next to a pretty, I don't know how I'd describe it, but just not a very nice high school, kind of lots of riffraff around there. Just not a very nice part of town would just be a good way to say it. So that's kind of where I was spending most of my time. I'd pretty much stay the night there every single night, and then just drive him to work in the morning, and then just pretty much just basically do nothing for the rest of the day, because at the time I was running my own company, but my depression kind of ended up getting in the way of that. But I won't get into all that, but that's just kind of where I was at time. And this particular individual that I was hanging around with was very selfish and kind of manipulated me. And I have to be honest, it is 110% my fault that happened, because at the time, like I just said, I was extremely depressed. I didn't have low self-worth. I actually just had no self-worth. So that kind of led me into this group of just not very good people to be around. And so let's just get to the night where this happened, right? So this was right after Stephen King's It came out, the movie with the clown. You know what I'm talking about. It was like one of the biggest movies of last year. So my friends, it was me, my friend John, and Jamie. Those are not their real names, but so me, John, and Jamie were gonna go see Stephen King's It in the movie theaters because, it's super sick. I've actually read that book, Stephen King's It, I think 5 times, and it's a pretty hefty book. It's actually one of the only books that I've read more than once. So that should say a lot. So if you want to read it, do it. And so I'm just a big fan of It, so we're gonna go see It. We all bought our tickets online. It was super cool. And right as we were kind of leaving the apartment complex, I just kind of had like this weird feeling about me. Like, when you just know that something isn't right, when something just isn't the way that's supposed to, like in your core, you feel off, not necessarily in a good way or a bad way, of course not in a good way, but I just was like, okay, something just like feels kind of weird. So I think the movie was going to be freaking, I don't know, like 9 or 8 or whatever. But anyway, so we left early because we wanted to go get some Taco Bell, right? Because, you know, we're just losers, stoner kids that need to go get some food before a freaking movie. And we went to Taco Bell, and so his house is like down here, and then you just drive down, like cross the street, and then there's a Taco Bell. So it was really, really close to his house. We drove to Taco Bell, you know, parked right up front because like no one was there, because it was kind of like past the dinner hour and everything. So we pretty much just had the place to ourselves. So I parked right up front. I got out of my car, and as soon as I stepped out, I was like, okay, I am definitely just not feeling like the way that I normally do. Something isn't right. I wasn't really sure like what was going on, and like I said, I don't want to make this sound like over dramatic or anything, but I was just like, yeah, something isn't quite right. And then we got into Taco Bell, and John and Jamie, they ordered their stuff. I believe they went first. Either they went first or I went first. I can't really remember, but I'm pretty sure they ordered their stuff, then I was up next to order. And my order from Taco Bell is always Crunchwrap Supreme, no sour cream, no cheese, replace the meat with the beans, because I'm like plant-based, you know, like I don't make a big deal out of it because those people suck. But that's typically what I order from there. So I ordered that, and as soon as she like was like, okay, here's your total to pay, what happened was I suddenly like basically couldn't breathe, and it felt like my heart just started going a million miles a minute, and I was like, just there was absolutely like no reason for this at all. And like I said, I was kind of starting to breathe fast, and I was just like kind of like freezing up, and my heart was going very, very fast. And right after that, I actually thought that I was going to die, because I know I haven't dived into this much on this channel, but I don't have it in here, but I have a pretty serious blood clotting disorder, actually 2 different disorders for blood clotting, so I got a double whammy. So I really thought that I was about to die from a blood clot in my brain right then. So basically what happened, like I said, I was up there, I was trying to order, all that stuff happening, and then as soon as my vision started to go blurry, like my head started to like go like all light. And then I don't know if you've ever passed out before. I've passed out one time, and it was in the middle of a Target parking lot. I almost got hit by a car, and I was buying a fushigi, and my dad was with me. If you don't know what that is, I'll maybe put a picture. But yeah, I really thought that I was gonna die. So what I did was I just was like this, and like kind of just basically like stumbled over to a table and basically just like collapsed onto it, and was like, I had no idea what was going on. I think the lady was all confused because she's like, dude, are you like, you gonna pay for your stuff? I don't know, but it was just a really, really crazy situation. So John and Jamie, they ended up like calling my mom for me. I was like, I think I just got out my phone. I was like, yo, like, can you call my mom? And then my mom is like freaking out. And then as soon as that happened, she's like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, like come over and, you know, like make sure everything's okay. You know, it's like, I just didn't know what to do. And then my dad calls me right after that. He's like, yo, like, what drugs have you done? Like, blah, 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 you know, like, and my dad was completely in the right for this, because like I said, the reason I said that in the beginning, that I was conducting my life in a negative way, was kind of to explain this, why my dad was so interrogative like that. He had every right to be, and it made complete sense why he'd ask me those types of questions and come at me like that, because I was conducting my life in such a way that was just terrible for me, and I knew that I was doing stupid things. But actually I hadn't done really any like drugs that night, like, you know, Xanax or lean or freaking all that crap. I've actually never like really done anything like that bad. But yeah, so my mom ended up getting there, and at that time things were getting a little bit better. I was still pretty scared because I really thought that it had something to do with my blood clotting disorder. But my mom got there, and we just kind of talked, and she was like, are you like gonna be okay? And I was like, I mean, I think so. I'm not really sure, but I did end up, I was okay, and we still had time to get to the movie. We saw the movie. The movie was pretty good. So overall, by and large, not by and large, that's not the right word, but overall it was a good night. Everything ended up being okay, and to this day, this is really the only panic attack that I've had that was that bad. After it happened, I was like, okay, like what just happened? And I looked up panic attack, anxiety attack, because like I said, I've never really had much of an issue with that, but I read all the symptoms and I was like, whoa, yeah, like I just had like a real anxiety / panic attack. That was just a story that I really want to share with y'all because it's interesting, and maybe some of you guys can relate, and share some mate stories below if y'all have ever struggled with any of that. My stuff is more so depression, and even with that, like, I have it under control. I manage it very well. I've discovered so much about myself in the last 2 years. Stuff comes and goes, but for the most part, I don't really have to deal with it too much anymore. If you're struggling in any sort of way, whether it be depression, anxiety, or any of the other mental disorders, because I know there's a plethora of mental illnesses that people don't talk about enough. Anxiety and depression do get a lot of time, but I know there are a lot of other ones that I probably don't even know about that don't get talked about. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're suffering from any of that, you're not alone. There are lots of people that you can talk to or that can help you. You can look stuff up on the internet. You're not alone. You can message me. I just want to let y'all know that if you're struggling, pretty much everyone else is too. It might not be with an illness, but everyone's struggling with something, no matter who you are. Even the richest people, they have their struggles too. So with that being said, my mates, I just want to thank you so much for watching this video and the immense support that you've provided to me this year. Mates Club is just growing every single day, and I'm so excited about it. We're over 1,600 subscribers now, which just, I know to a lot of people that's not a lot, but it took me like 5 months just to get over 20. So I really do appreciate y'all. This is so huge for me. So if you want to subscribe, it's just right there. It's free. You might as well do it. And if you want to follow me on my socials, they're just right down here. Only if you want to. I don't want to push that too hard. But my mates, I appreciate y'all so much. This is just so fun for me. Thank you for letting me do this. Hope y'all have a great Sunday, and I'll catch you tomorrow, which will be Monday.